USCIS officers now have police powers. What this means for immigrants. Imagine walking into what you thought was a simple immigration interview, a place where you expect questions about your application, your documents, your background. Suddenly, the officer sitting across from you isn't just reviewing paperwork. They're armed, authorized to make an arrest, and empowered to treat your case not just as an application, but as a potential law enforcement matter. This is no longer speculation. With a new USCIS rule now in effect, immigration officers can carry firearms, execute search warrants, and even make arrests. The new rule explained. USCIS has historically been known as the benefits arm of immigration. They're the ones who decide if you get your green card, citizenship, or work permit. ICE, on the other hand, has always been the enforcement branch, the agency that conducts raids, detains people, and initiates deportation proceedings. But a sweeping policy change has now blurred that line. For the first time, USCIS officers are being given powers traditionally reserved for ICE, the authority to execute search and arrest warrants, carry firearms, and in rare situations, use deadly force. Why this shift is so significant? For decades, immigrants have viewed USCIS interviews as stressful but relatively safe spaces. The worst-case scenario might be a denial or a referral to immigration court, but it wasn't the place where you feared being arrested on the spot. That role fell to ICE. Now, with this new rule, immigrants may be facing enforcement directly from the same officers they thought were only evaluating applications. It's a shift that fundamentally changes how immigrant communities view USCIS offices across the country. The overlap between USCIS and ICE. To understand why this is so alarming, you need to know the division of duties. ICE has always been the enforcer, the agency with badges, tactical vests, and law enforcement authority. USCIS has been the administrator, processing millions of applications every year. Think of it this way: ICE was like the police, USCIS like the DMV. Now, suddenly, the DMV staff has been handed guns and told to enforce criminal law. That kind of overlap isn't just confusing, it's unsettling for immigrants who will no longer know which agency they are dealing with. How it could play out in real life. Here's an example. A green card holder with a minor criminal record attends a naturalization interview. Under the old system, USCIS might flag the case, and ICE could later decide whether to detain that individual. With the new authority, the USCIS officer could potentially make the arrest right there, eliminating the buffer that previously existed. Another possibility is home visits, something rare for USCIS in the past, but not unthinkable under this expanded enforcement role. Training and accountability questions. One of the biggest unknowns right now is how USCIS officers will be trained. ICE officers undergo law enforcement training that prepares them for arrests, raids, and sometimes dangerous situations. USCIS officers, however, have traditionally been trained in document review, interviews, and administrative decisions. Now that they're being given guns and enforcement powers, there are serious questions about oversight, accountability, and whether they're prepared for the responsibilities and risks that come with that role. Immigrant advocates are also warning that giving USCIS such power could create conflicts of interest. How can the same officer fairly evaluate your application if they also have the power to arrest you? This dual role could erode trust in the system and make immigrants even more hesitant to pursue benefits they're legally entitled to. The government's justification. So why is this happening? Supporters of the rule argue it's about efficiency and national security. They claim that allowing USCIS to enforce certain immigration violations directly will streamline the process, reduce backlogs, and keep dangerous individuals from slipping through the cracks. Officials say that if someone with a criminal history shows up at an interview, USCIS shouldn't have to call ICE, they should have the authority to act immediately. While the reasoning is framed as safety, critics say the practical effect is increased fear and intimidation for ordinary immigrants. Potential legal challenges. Like many sweeping immigration changes, this rule is almost certain to face legal challenges. Civil rights groups and immigration attorneys are already raising concerns about whether USCIS officers acting as law enforcement crosses constitutional boundaries. Lawsuits could argue that this blurs the separation of duties Congress intended between immigration benefits and enforcement. Until courts weigh in, though, the policy is in effect, and immigrants need to prepare for this new reality. Impact on everyday immigrants. For millions of immigrants applying for benefits, this change could increase fear around the interview process. Some may even avoid filing applications they are eligible for, worried that stepping into a USCIS office could expose them to arrest. This could particularly affect vulnerable groups, undocumented immigrants eligible for certain protections, green card holders with minor legal issues, or even international students with past disciplinary problems. The chilling effect may ripple across immigrant communities nationwide. Looking ahead, what this means for the future. If this policy remains in place, the role of USCIS could permanently shift from a benefits-only agency to a hybrid benefits and enforcement agency. That would be a fundamental change in the U.S. immigration system. Some experts worry this could even discourage talented workers, students, and families from choosing America as their destination, damaging the nation's long-standing reputation as a place of opportunity. Others warn it could lead to mistakes, officers acting beyond their training or authority, with devastating consequences for immigrant families. Balancing security and trust. At the core of this debate is a question of balance. Yes, national security matters. Yes, law enforcement has a role in immigration. But when the agency that immigrants depend on for benefits also becomes the agency they fear, trust in the system collapses. Without trust, immigrants are less likely to cooperate, less likely to apply for legal benefits, and more likely to fall through the cracks. That outcome could undermine both public safety and the integrity of the immigration system itself. We are entering a new and uncertain era of immigration policy. What once was clear, USCIS gives benefits, ICE enforces removals, is no longer so simple. For immigrants, this means preparing for the unexpected and staying more informed than ever. If this video helped you understand what's happening, please subscribe, hit that like button, and turn on notifications so you never miss a critical update. Share this video with your community, especially with anyone applying for immigration benefits. Knowledge is power, and staying informed is the first step in protecting your future. Stay safe, stay aware, and we'll see you in the next update with more breaking news that directly impacts immigrants across America.